Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down chapter 1189, The King of the World. And I just have to say it up front, I have to get it out.
Let him cook.
Scopper Gaban is on Elbaph, axes in hand, staring down Emu. The left hand of the Pirate King is back in the fight.
The waiting is over.
Absolutely. If you've been waiting for the old guard to finally step onto the stage, you're going to want to follow this show, because I don't think this is a one-off. I think the real war just began. So let's get into it, because before Gaban showed up, things were looking grim.
That's an understatement. Right at the start of the action, we see Emu has just stabbed Luffy with a sword named Bohu.
And not just stabbed him, Emu drives the blade right through him and into a tree, literally pinning our captain. It's such a display of dominance. It's not about winning the fight, it's about making a point. It's cruel. We've seen Luffy get beaten before. Lucci left him a bloody mess. Kaido knocked him out cold multiple times. But this feels different. This is personal. This is Emu trying to humiliate not just Luffy, but the very idea of him.
It's a message. The tree itself is one of the massive ones on Elbaph. Pinning him to it is like Emu is saying, I own your history, I own your future, and I can nail you to the very foundation of this world you seek to liberate. The symbolism is potent. Emu isn't just defeating an enemy, they're desecrating an ideal.
And that desecration, that pain, it travels. We see Usopp just double over, sensing that something is wrong. Nami sees it, but even Usopp can't explain what he's feeling.
It's a visceral connection. We've talked about the different applications of observation hockey. There's the predictive future sight that Katakuri mastered, the wide-range sensing Kobe uses to hear voices, and then there's this emotional, empathic link that seems to transcend all physical laws.
That's one of the realest portrayals of observation hockey we've ever seen. It's not a premonition, it's not a vision, it's just a raw physical sickness because his captain, his best friend, is in mortal danger. That bond is so strong it defies distance. Think back to Water 7, Robin, the fight they had, the crew splitting up. This is the ultimate proof of how far they've come since then. That bond was broken, and they reforged it into something so unbreakable that it acts like a lifeline across the ocean. It's beautiful in a really painful way.
Jinbe feels it too, but where Usopp feels the pain, Jinbe feels the dread. He puts words to the fear, remembering how easily Emu defeated Loki. And he frames it perfectly, that Emu denied even beating Loki. It wasn't a fight to Emu, it was an inconvenience.
Exactly. That's the terrifying part. Emu is operating on a level where defeating a giant king doesn't even register as an accomplishment. It's like swatting a fly. Jinbe, who has seen Whitebeard, who fought in the Paramount War, who has stood before Big Mom, for him to be this unsettled tells you everything you need to know about the power scale we're dealing with. But while that's happening, we cut back to Gunko.
She's finally free from Ragnir's ice, but she's still unconscious. Brook is desperately trying to wake her up, and Ragnir is actively trying to stop him.
Brook is just frantic. You can feel his desperation. He needs answers. He needs to know if she's okay, and this other giant is just getting in his way. Brook is usually so composed, the gentleman of the crew, but here he's panicked. He's not thinking about tactics. He's just thinking about this girl he barely knows who needs help. And then, out of nowhere, you hear a crash.
Hajrudin and Gerd come flying in on a samvar, one of the giant birds of Elbaph. It looks like they were in such a hurry they completely botched the landing.
They sure did. It's such a giant entrance, literally, just total chaos. And who's there to save the day? Tony Chopper. He pops a guard point to cushion Gerd, and she's just immediately thankful. No time wasted. It's straight to business. She runs over to Loki.
His injuries are bad. Really bad. We see a close-up of the wounds, and it's clear that without immediate and advanced medical attention, he wouldn't survive. And Loki, even in that state, has the humor to point out that her and Hajrudin's crash landing probably didn't help.
Classic giant stoicism. The man is on the doorstep and he's still cracking jokes. You gotta respect it. But this is where it gets interesting. We get a quick flashback. Hajrudin wanted to jump right back into the fight with Emu, full of that warrior's pride, but old man Jarul stopped him.
He told him to go to Loki's side. Jarul's reasoning is chilling. He says that saving the children, which was Hajrudin's goal, is just a temporary solution.
A band-aid. It's like patching a hole in a sinking ship without dealing with the cannonballs still coming at you. Jarul has the wisdom of age. He sees the bigger picture.
Exactly. Jarul believes the decision to subjugate Elbaph wasn't a political one made at the Leverie. He says it came from Emu's personal desires. It wasn't a strategic move by the world government. It was a whim, a personal vendetta.
That recontextualizes everything. This isn't a war between nations. This is one being's personal grudge match, and the entire world government is just the weapon they're using to settle it. It reminds me of Spandam, using the full might of the government just to get his hands on Pluton for his own pathetic ambitions. It's the same arrogance, magnified 1 billion times. This isn't about justice, it's about power.
An 800-year-old power. And one has to wonder, what is the nature of that grudge? Was Elbaph an ally of the ancient kingdom? Did the giants refuse to bow to the 20 kings during the Void Century? Emu's actions suggest a history we're not privy to, a slight so deep that it has festered for centuries.
And remembering this, Hajrudin asks Loki the question, do you know who Emu is?
And Loki says, I believe so. The dread in that moment is huge. The weight of that panel is immense. It's a question we've all been asking for years, and we're on the precipice of an answer. But, of course, just as we're about to get the answer, the focus shifts back to Luffy.
Of course it does. It's the ultimate bait and switch, even within a single chapter.
Emu isn't finished. He dismisses the sword he used to pin Luffy and conjures a new one, Fragarach.
He says it consumes vitality. This isn't just about stabbing Luffy anymore. This is about draining the life out of him. It's a weapon designed to kill things that don't die easily. It's an anti-Luffy weapon. It's an anti-Joy Boy weapon. Emu knows what he's fighting. He's not just fighting some rubber kid. He's fighting a concept, a god. And he brought the perfect tool for the job.
The name itself, Fragarach, is from Irish mythology. It was known as the Answerer, or the Retaliator. It was a sword that could cut through any shield and was said to place the wind at the user's command. More importantly, no one could tell a lie or move when the sword was at their throat. It was a weapon of absolute truth and authority.
So Emu is literally holding a weapon that says, I am the ultimate authority and your existence is a lie. That is some next-level thematic weaponry.
And he's monologuing. He says he despises Luffy's name, yet he knows about his brothers, one killed by the Marines, one a leader in the Revolutionary Army. He knows everything.
He calls them a group of uncouth individuals. The sheer arrogance from the guy who is literally trying to erase history and rule from the shadows. He's talking down to the family that is single-handedly trying to bring light to the world. The grandson liberating slaves and becoming the sun god, the father leading a revolution against the celestial dragons, and even the other grandson who died trying to be free. The Monkey D family is the antithesis of everything Emu stands for.
And then he stabs Luffy again with the new sword. The panel is stark. There's no flash, no sound effect, just the blade sinking in, and Luffy just has to take it.
Brutal. Just absolutely brutal. It's hard to watch. And as that happens, as our captain is being extinguished, Loki finally gives us the answer.
He tells everyone there that Emu is the person Shanks told him about, the day his father, King Harold, died. Flashback.
The big one. After the massacre at the castle, a young Loki wanted to sail out immediately to hunt down everyone responsible. He's all rage and grief, just like Hajrudin was moments ago.
But Shanks stopped him, and this is Shanks years ago. He sympathized with him. He said Harold was a dear friend to him too, but he told Loki that taking over Elbaph wasn't the world government's real goal.
It was just a preparation for war, a staging ground for something much, much bigger. Shanks is always 10 steps ahead. He sees the whole board. He knew back then that Elbaph was just a pawn in a much larger game.
Loki doesn't care about that. He just wants revenge. And Shanks asks the most important question, on whom exactly?
Loki says the world government, the obvious answer, and that's when Shanks drops it. He clarifies that the one who manipulated everything, the one who pulled the strings to kill his father, wasn't the government. It was the king of the world.
Jarul is floored. His reaction is our reaction. He says the entire concept of the world government is that there is no single king. It's a union of nations. The empty throne is supposed to be a symbol of that equality. That's the lie the world has been told for 800 years.
But it's a lie. The whole thing is a lie. We heard Doflamingo hint at it in Dressrosa, talking about the secret treasure of Mary G's that would shake the world. This is it. The treasure isn't an object. It's a person sitting on that throne.
And even in that private moment, Scopper Gaban, who's right there with them, warns Shanks to be careful with his words.
It shows how dangerous this truth is. Even the Roger pirates, the men who learned the true history, are afraid to speak it aloud, because no one would believe them. It's a truth so massive, it sounds like a lie. It completely upends the entire structure of their reality. To acknowledge a king is to acknowledge that the last 800 years of history are a fraud. That's a burden that Roger's crew has had to carry in silence for decades.
And Shanks gives Loki the hard truth. He warns him that Imu's power is beyond measurement, that going after him now would only lead to more questions, not answers. He tells him it's not the right time to pick that fight.
Wait until the right moment. The ultimate Shanks line. He's always playing the long game, always waiting for the specific conditions to be met. But Loki, fueled by grief, doesn't listen. He sets out to sea anyway and finds nothing, because how could he? He was looking for the world government, not a ghost that doesn't officially exist.
But now Imu is here, on Elbaph, and Loki believes this is his chance. This is the moment he's been waiting for. The target has come to him.
Hajrudin calls him a simpleton for thinking it'll be easy, which is hilarious coming from him, but then he immediately says he's in. He's ready to help avenge his own father too. It's perfect. The giants are united. The old grudges are gone. They have a common enemy, the true enemy.
And the Straw Hats are just processing this. We see them, and they are as stunned as we are. A king of the world? Then what is the role of the 5 elders?
They're just the king's guard dogs, his public-facing cabinet, the 5 fancy-dressed bouncers standing outside the real boss's office. It makes so much sense. They're powerful, sure, but they aren't the final authority. They serve the throne. It reframes every single action they've ever taken, from O'Hara to now.
While they're reeling from this, the focus shifts back to the Gunku situation. Ragnir is still physically blocking Brook, and Chopper reveals why.
He says Ragnir was the one who froze her in the first place. My jaw dropped. I did not see that coming.
Because she's too dangerous. That's his justification. It implies her power, when uncontrolled, is a threat to everyone, friend or foe.
And Brook doesn't even flinch. He acknowledges it. He hears it. But he says he's confident she was just being controlled. And then he delivers a line that just defines the Straw Hats. He says he has to help her because she is like a daughter to him.
He only just met her.
It doesn't matter. That's the Straw Hat way. You see someone suffering, you see a connection, you declare them family, and you go to war for them. It's the same spirit as Luffy with Rebecca, or Sanji with the Vinsmokes, or the entire crew with Vivi. That bond is instantaneous and absolute. It's the heart of our crew.
It's a profound statement of faith. Brook, who lost his entire original crew, is not cynical. He is willing to immediately form a bond this deep. For him, a man who has been alone for 50 years, the concept of family is something to be taken lightly. It's a beautiful moment. And right after, my clone appears before Chopper.
Your little sprout self. What's going on there? You looked very serious.
She asks him to come to the library with her and Saul.
Oh, something's up. Saul's calling in the doctor. That's not for a history lesson. What do you think they found?
It has to be something medical or biological. A text describing a weakness, maybe related to devil fruits, or the nature of Imu's body. Perhaps a log from a doctor from the Void Century. You don't call for Chopper unless you need a doctor's mind. His expertise in biology and chemistry might be the key to deciphering whatever ancient text Saul and I have uncovered.
Good point. Okay, so while that's happening, we get the cutaways to the other big fights. Zoro versus Summers of the Shepherd family.
Right, and what a fight. He uses his sword, Graham, to block one of Zoro's attacks, looked like a dragon twister, and just blows him away with pure force. Then he drops another massive lore bomb.
He tells Zoro that the weapons Imu has been using, and the one he's using now, all belonged to the first 20 founding kings.
And they were all placed before the empty throne as a sign of their oath, a promise to never take sole rulership. What a load of crap. It was all a show.
The ultimate symbols of power, left at the center of the world, and Summers reveals that Graham is the sword of his family, the Shepherd family.
So each of the Gorosei descends from one of the first 20 kings. We kind of figured, but this is some hard confirmation. And he says he can use the sword through a power called Omen, the same power Imu uses. What the heck is that?
It's a shared ability, a power exclusive to the bloodlines of the founders, it sounds like. It's not a devil fruit, it's something else, something inherent to their lineage, a power passed down through their holy blood. It could be the source of their authority, a tangible manifestation of their divine right to rule that they've kept secret for centuries.
And it's not just him. We cut to Sanji, and he's fighting Killingham from the Ramoshifu family.
And he conjures a spear out of thin air, Longinus, the spear of his family. Again, a powerful name from real-world lore, the spear said to have pierced Christ on the cross, a weapon of deicide.
Bro, Zoro and Sanji are literally fighting the founding fathers of the world government. They're fighting history itself. This isn't just a battle of strength. It's a battle of ideologies made manifest. These aren't just old men. They are the living, breathing legacy of the original sin that created their world.
The weapons that created the world, now wielded against the people who would bring the dawn. The symbolism is perfect. It's the old world order, armed with its foundational power, physically trying to stamp out the new era.
That's exactly what Imu says. We cut back to him and Luffy. He summons another weapon, this time an axe, the axe of Xingtian. And he tells Luffy he should feel honored to die at the hands of the very weapons that conquered and created their world.
Xingtian is a Chinese deity he fought against the supreme deity, was decapitated, and continued to fight using his nipples as eyes and his navel as a mouth, a figure of pure, relentless defiance. It's a fitting weapon for a king who sees defiance as the ultimate sin. He wields the symbol of defiance to crush the ultimate defiant one. It's the peak of hubris. He sees himself as a creator god, and these are his divine instruments.
He swings the axe down to finish Luffy, this monumentally historic weapon coming down on our captain who's pinned and helpless. And for a moment, everything goes dark.
And it's blocked. Clang! A huge sound that feels like it echoes across the entire island. By a pair of axes, held by none other than Scopper Gaban.
The copper himself, standing over Luffy, protecting him. His expression isn't angry, it's determined, like he's been waiting for this exact moment for decades.
Super. This is the moment. This is the payoff for decades of waiting. The Roger Pirates are re-entering the story. Rayleigh trained Luffy, Shanks guided him, and now Gaban is standing between him and the king of the world. He looks older, of course, gray hair, more scars, but the look in his eyes is the same as we saw in the Odin flashbacks. It's the look of a man who sailed with the king and fears nothing.
They didn't just disband. They went into hiding, waiting for the person Roger said would come, waiting for Joy Boy's return.
And he's here. Luffy is here. So Gaban is here. The promise is being fulfilled. The old generation is stepping up to protect the new one so they can finish the job. It's just absolute poetry.
Think about what this means. The Roger Pirates didn't fail. They succeeded in their task, which was to learn the truth and wait for the right person and the right time. They were the custodians of the promise. Gaban's arrival is the signal. It's the bell tolling that the appointed time has finally come.
The time is now. The final war for the Dawn has officially begun. I am so unbelievably hyped I could power a ship to the moon with this energy.
I think we all
are, which leads us to what comes next. If you have your own theories about what Gaban's arrival means or who he might have brought with him, we want to hear them. Let us know in the comments below.
Absolutely. All right, Franky, hit me with it. Predictions for 1190. What's on your mind?
Okay, my first prediction is about the library. I think what they've found is a record from the Void Century detailing the Omen ability. It's not just a power, it's a pact, a contract made by the first 20 with some entity, or perhaps with the weapons themselves. And I believe the record will describe how the pact can be broken, giving the Straw Hats a specific way to sever the Gorosei's connection to their ancient weapons.
Ooh, I like that. Cutting them off from their primary power source. Tactical. It's not just about overpowering them, it's about outsmarting them. What else?
My second prediction is that we will finally get Imu's full name, and it will be a name we've seen before but didn't understand the context of. Perhaps a name from the Shandoran ruins, or a name mentioned in Odin's journal. A name directly from the Void Century that recontextualizes who they were before they became king. A name that might even have the D initial in it.
A name that proves they're from that era. I can see that. That would be a huge reveal. The ultimate enemy is one of the original D, a traitor to the cause. One more?
We've seen the weapons for the Shepherd and Ramoshi Hifu families. My third prediction is that the next chapter will show us the weapons of the other 3 Gorosei families. We'll see what powerful artifacts belong to the Neurona, Figureland, and most importantly, the Don Quixote family.
The original D-clan traitor. Their weapon has to be something special. Something devious, I bet. Okay, my turn. Prediction 1. Gaban isn't just blocking. He's going to actively fight Imu, and his axes are coated in the same advanced Conqueror's Haki as Roger's sword was. He's going to be one of the few people alive who can actually injure Imu's true form. This isn't just a save. It's the start of a real top-tier fight.
The student of the Pirate King's left hand. It makes sense. He would have to be on that level to have been one of Roger's 2 wings.
Prediction 2 is about Luffy. That vitality-draining sword, Fragarach, is going to backfire. It's trying to drain the life out of the sun god Nika. I think it's going to overload. It's like trying to drink the ocean with a straw. The sword is going to absorb so much of that boundless, ridiculous energy that it either shatters or, even better, it channels that energy back into Luffy, supercharging him and healing him instantly.
Turning the weapon against its master. A very Luffy-esque victory. The ultimate freedom is not being bound even by a weapon's rules.
Exactly. And my final prediction is for Brook. He's going to get through to Gunko, but not by talking. He's going to play Bink's sack. Not the energetic version, but a slow, soulful version on his violin. The music is going to bypass whatever brainwashing or control she's under and reach her soul, waking her up peacefully. A victory only the Soul King could pull off.
That would be beautiful. A perfect character moment for him. It would prove that music truly is a universal language that can heal any heart.
Right? It's gotta happen. The power of music saving the day.
A fitting end to the chapter's chaos. We'll have to wait and see. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on Inherited Dawn.
Until next time, stay super.